Television is not the truth. Television is a goddamn amusement park. Television is a circus, a carnival, a traveling troupe of acrobats, storytellers, dancers, singers, jugglers, sideshow freaks, lion tamers, and football players. We're in the boredom-killing business. So turn off your television sets. Turn them off now. Turn them off right now. Turn them off and leave them off. Turn them off right in the middle of the sentence I'm speaking to you now. Turn them off.
Stop them. An idea whose time has come cannot be stopped by any army.
Welcome to Eradicating Program Ignorance, brought to you by the Liberty Beacon Project and broadcast on TLBTV. Today, we have a returning guest, but we're going to be discussing his next step with the Liberty Beacon Project. Because as most of you will probably remember, we did state that Tony Olson would be a new TLBTV show host. So today we're going to discuss a little bit with Tony, his past, what brought him to where he is today, what his show is going to be about, and maybe talk a little bit about the issues that we're facing as a nation and as a world right now. And for anybody who didn't see the Burr Show, Mr. Tony Olson is a multi-talented, and I say that, and everybody knows I never exaggerate, I don't lie. If I say something, I truly mean it, and you can already see the smiles on Tony's face because I think he knows what's coming. Tony is a multi-talented individual. Tony writes poetry. Tony writes songs. Tony writes articles. Tony does radio shows. And he, unlike myself, who I guess tripped so many times when I started doing this about 6 or 7 years ago, I've never heard Tony make a mistake yet. But it's never too late. So for anybody who's interested in seeing a little bit more of Tony's work, go to the Liberty Beacon, which is our flagship website, thelibertybeacon.com, and type in the search bar in the upper right-hand corner, Tony Olson, and hit enter. You're going to get his songs, you're going to get his poems, you're going to get his satire, you're going to get his articles. And I've got to tell you something, none of this is a waste of your time. None of it. And with that, Rebecca, I understand that we have a little bit of information that we'd like to glean from Tony about his past, about his path, before we get into discussing politics. So why don't you take the football and run with it, please?
Absolutely. You know, over the last 6 months or so, Tony has done some pretty amazing things. He has written a best-selling book. He's had 3 poems that have been read by more than 10 million people collectively. He has written lyrics to a music video that had over 160,000 views, and his articles have appeared in numerous publications. And so I've got to ask you, Tony, with everything that you have done, and most of this being done in the last 6 months, you're currently writing a song for our military veterans. And now you're also having a talk show. I'm wondering how you have time for this, and I'd like to hear more about this, as well as talking about your book.
Well, time's a little tough for me right now. I'm spread pretty thin, but I'm able to get some stuff in every now and again. I just recently returned from Alaska, and I was hoping to finish I'm writing a song called In the Name of Freedom for all the veterans. And I got, most of it done while I was in Alaska, but I wanted to get it all done, but I'll finish it up here within the next 2 weeks. And
wait a minute. You're climbing on glaciers, you're paddling down rivers, and you're writing songs simultaneously. And I'm gonna tell on you a little bit here, because prior to the show, Tony and I were talking, and he was lucky enough to have in the same canoe with him paddling down this very long river two of the, I guess you would say, most prolific bleeding heart liberals, SJWs, you could possibly imagine. And Tony is a conservative thinker. And anybody who's seen his work or watched the last show we did with him, that's readily apparent. So first off, you're trying to keep from choking somebody. You're paddling down a river, you're climbing a glacier, and you're writing a song about veterans? All right, now, does everybody understand why I opened the show about Tony the way I did? All right, Tony, sorry for interrupting. No, I'm not. Please continue.
Oh, no, not a problem. So hopefully I can get this song done to where we can get it recorded and get it out and have somebody pick it up by Veterans Day. And that's my contribution to the veterans for this year, and hopefully it'll do well. My book, which is called Spin Game, I wrote that book because I was concerned about the direction that the country was going. And more importantly, I was concerned about the information that the average American was getting from the news media. And so I wrote the book so that I could inform. I took 9 topics and basically wrote the facts, wrote the truth about them, so that the average American could read it, understand it, be able to articulate it to other people, and, just understand the truth about, the different political goings on. And I tried to write it in a format that was easy to read, easy to understand. It's probably a book that is a political book for people who hate politics, because a lot of people don't like to read about politics. A lot of people don't take the time to read about a lot of things, but this is very interesting. And the people that have read it have written to me, have called me and said, look, we get it, we understand it. And that includes some of our U.S. senators. I actually got a letter from one of our U.S. senators that said, thank you for writing this for the American people. And so there's people out there that are starting, hopefully to get it. I mean, we got it right on the election. And so if we just let Trump do his thing, I think we'll be okay. But anyway, for people that want to understand the intricacies of the different political subjects without getting into a lot of meaty stuff that they have to wade through and look up explanations for, that's what my book's about. So, give it a read.
Or without getting into the misdirection and redirection. Because, again, we go back to what William Casey said in 1981 to a new president, Reagan, in their first cabinet meeting, when he stated, we will know our program of disinformation has succeeded when everything the American people believe is false. So if you take that into consideration, a book such as yours, and you, like myself, and believe me, I personify this, I constantly tell people, I don't challenge you to prove me wrong. I dare you to prove me wrong. So when you say things like that, you need to be right. You are a prolific researcher. So what you are offering people is not the bullshit, not the hogwash, not the frill that goes with everything we hear on the mainstream media. You're offering them the straight skinny. You're offering them an infrastructure of this country set down on basic facts. So this is something that's sorely needed, Tony. Next, Rebecca.
Well, I want to talk to him a little bit about his life as a poet. So maybe, Tony, you could elaborate a little bit on that.
Well, the poetry, I've been writing poetry really since I was in high school, but not a lot. And it's always been kind of a humorous nature. I'm not the roses are red kind of guy. I write about, I wrote a poem in high school about Ewell Gibbons, and it was actually read on the Tonight Show.
How cool is that?
On there. And so.
You do satire well, Tony.
What's that?
You do satire well. You do.
Well, that's, and hopefully, so far, everything that I've written poetry-wise has been pretty much from a satirical nature, other than I did write a poem for both my mother and father when they passed away. Those were obviously serious. But everything other than that has been some degree of satire, and it's been pretty well received. One poem that you can see at the Liberty Beacon is called Ode to Liberal Lunacy. That poem by itself had over 8 million views. So I get people like the funny stuff apparently, and I got started because my wife told me to write a funny night before Christmas poem about Donald Trump, and the next thing I knew, it was all over the internet. And
it was the night before inauguration, and that's also on the Liberty Beacon, and that also went viral.
Yes.
And what about your song with Hillary?
Yeah, the song with Hillary, we took the song My Favorite Things and changed it to My Favorite Excuses. And we got a young lady out of Colorado Springs that sounded just like Julie Andrews to record it for us. And a fine gentleman by the name of Tim Collier at KBOR Radio in Colorado Springs took her into the studio and recorded it, and then laid down the video for it. And so as of this point, we're over 160,000 views. And so, and I'll probably play that video at some point on one of my shows just as a filler, just a little bit of levity there as we.
You've got to do the poems. You've got to do the poems. You've got to do the videos. People need to see this. They do, because you do have a keen sense of satire. You really do. But there's so much truth embedded in that. Okay, so the message does come through. Does it make you chuckle? Of course it does. It's intended to make you chuckle. But when you can use satire as a tool to promote the truth, I've got to tell you something. Think back to when you were a kid. You remember much more what made you laugh than what made you angry. So satire is a good way to get a message across in a society today where it's really tough to get a serious message across because nobody knows what's true and what isn't. Unless, of course, they come to the Liberty Beacon. We don't even get trolled anymore because people who have tried to prove us wrong for so long and failed at it, they quit. They're quitters. Imagine that.
Well, before we go into your show, which is so apropos right at this moment, I'm just wondering if there's any other songs that you're working on, or if your focus is the song for military veterans.
Well, right now I'm focusing on the song for the veterans because it's something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and but I wanted it to be, I guess, as close to perfect as I could get it. And the part that I was having trouble with was finding the right music. I wanted to find the music to make kind of a power ballad, if you will, like God Bless the USA, and a very Lee Greenwoodish, Toby Keith kind of thing. And I just didn't find the music. And lo and behold, I did a show. I was interviewed on a show with another gentleman by the name of Dave Nudo, who actually performed a song on that show. And that was it. I mean, that was the music I was looking for. And I called Dave a couple days later and said, Dave, I want that song. I want that melody. I said, I think I can make an incredible song for the veterans with that. And he said, have at it. So I have his blessing, and he's also going to record it. He's going to go into studio and record it once I get it written so that we can, get it out there and get a video made. And we will preview that song on my show and on the Liberty Beacon. So
I love it.
You'll see it before anybody picks it up and runs with it. You'll see the raw version of it. So hopefully
I love it. So let's talk about then the show that you are getting ready to host and basically produce.
Well, I think of it kind of as a political variety show. As you know, with my book, and as Roger said, I do a lot of research, an awful lot of research. So even my poetry as crazy as it is still researched so that it's factual. And so what the show is going to do is it's basically going to take my book and put it into a show format, and it's going to add a number of other topics with it, but it's going to take a lot of the main political hot button topics of the time and show you where the media is lying to you and what the actual facts are surrounding these various subjects. And I don't shy away from anything. I mean, I'm tackling climate change, racism, immigration, gun control, abortion, income inequality, minimum wage. We'll talk about everything, but we're going to talk about it in a manner. So A, it's going to be fun because I'm going to interject a lot of little fun things in with this. But two, it's going to be in a format that's going to be easy to understand and people can watch it and go, okay, I get it. So, and so that's the approach I want to take. I want to make it fun for people. I don't want them just, spending, an hour staring at my mug. I want, to have some content on there that's going to make people laugh, that's going to make people want to come back and see the show again, or see different parts of it, or save different parts of it and show it to other people and go, wow, this guy had some fun stuff on there. And so that's what I want to do. I don't want this to be a completely serious thing because, as Roger alluded to, you remember things that you find humor in, that you enjoy watching. And so I'm going to make it fun for people. And the way that I'm going to explain some of these things is going to be kind of in a fun, non-traditional format. So, and I'm the epitome of non-traditional. So that's what you're going to get.
Well, I would tell you that I have known you for a while, and we've had some phenomenal discussions. And I look forward to every new host coming on and doing a show. But you have a different way of presenting things, and it's going to fill a gap that's missing on TLBTV right now. We have some phenomenal hosts. We really do. Clyde Lewis, we've got Barry Prince coming in, and we've got some other really good names coming onto this network, and we feel very proud and we feel very privileged to have all of you here. But nobody is throwing that little bit of humor in there. Nobody is, and I don't know, you said, excuse me, nobody is, and you said you're going to try and make it fun. Okay, a lot of the topics that you're going to be discussing, I don't know if we can use the word fun as synonymous with any of these topics, but throwing a little humor or satire in so that people throw their head back, give it a little guffaw or a little chuckle, you're right, that's going to stick in their mind. Now you have to make me a promise, and I'm putting you on the spot here, and we're not going to edit this out before we broadcast this. So everybody's going to know your answer. All right? Please tell me you're going to wear that hat.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because James Joyce wore a hat. Walt Whitman wore a hat. Lord Alfred Tennyson wore a hat. If I'm going to be a poet, I got to have a hat. Just like Roger Landry has to have the sunglasses, I got to have a hat.
Got to have them. Of course, they're dark enough, and it's dark enough in here. If I tried to walk right now, I'd bump into a wall. But this is the persona we set up. This is who we want people to see, what we want people to see of us. So, Rebecca, let's take it to the next level. What's your next
I'm
question?
just wondering, what's next, Tony? What is in that brain that just keeps on just cycling constantly, going downhill, uphill, downhill? You are just nonstop.
Well, I think probably the thing I'm going to try to do most is to generate more time so that I can generate more stuff. Right now, it's just hard for me to get everything done in the time frame that I want to get it done in. And I apologize because I want to do more articles. I want to do more poems. I want to do more songs. I want to do, I want to make sure that the show is good, that it's a quality show, that it's a fun show, that people are going to want to come back and watch every week. And for me, I think it's just generating the time. I just want to express myself and have people enjoy what I do.
You need to make me a promise, because Rebecca has heard me say this over and over again. All I want is an extra 4 hours in every day. So if you find a way, and your exact words were, to make more time, I want you to give me the secret. Because if you can show me how to make more time, I can make that extra 4 hours in every day, just like you, okay? Between running the Liberty Beacon Project, between doing a show, between launching a huge project to finance this global project, between writing articles and everything else and interfacing with phenomenal people like you, if I get 4 hours of sleep in a night, I'm ecstatic.
Well, if I can find a way to do it, I'll sure let you know, Roger.
Promise?
Promise.
Okay.
So I'm going to gather, Tony, then the fun part of your show, because it will be discussing a lot of politics, is really what it is that's going to set you apart.
It is. There's a lot of people, a lot of phenomenal people. Roger's right. The people that he got to do shows on the Liberty Beacon are phenomenal people. And I've enjoyed every one of the...
Rebecca got him.
I've watched.
Rebecca got him. She's the media director.
Well,
I helped, but it was Rebecca who formulated this network, and 90% of the credit goes to that lovely lady sitting next to us.
Well, Rebecca, thank you very much, because it's been a pleasure watching everybody. There's a lot of diversity. There's a lot of talent that you have, that you put together on that network. And I think the thing that'll set me apart is the fact that, I'm a smart ass. So you're going to see a lot of, and I don't tend to mince words, but I like to have fun, and I like people to have fun. And I think that the humor aspect of the show is going to set us apart, because people are going to have fun watching it. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn a ton off of this show, but you're going to have fun learning that ton. And when you go out and you get done, you're going to be glad you watched the show, because you're going to pick up some information that you never knew, that different areas where the media has been not exactly telling you the truth. But at the
Don't say it isn't so. But one of these days, and as busy as my schedule is, and with you getting all of this up and running, don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. I want to be a guest on your show, because I can be a royal clown with the truth. And I would be so, I would just be so cut loose guesting on your show. It would be so much fun for me. So I seriously look forward to that, and it will happen.
Yeah, no, I'd love to have you on, because there are some topics that I think between the two of us, we could probably, probably
shred them,
run for their money.
Yeah, we could tear them apart. Absolutely tear them apart. And the thing of it is, yes.
I don't think it's not just another day in the life of Tony Olson.
Just another day?
No, I don't think for you there is just another day.
No, I live every day like it's my last one. And
yes.
So, which, by the way, this week I'm celebrating 10 years since my brain surgery. So.
Wow, congratulations.
Oh, yeah. So, and that's part of why I live life the way I do. I don't have any bad days. I just, I try to make the world a better place, a little funner place, and try to contribute whatever I can contribute to it. And I'll just keep doing stuff the way I'm doing it.
I love it.
So when people, and I hear a lot of people say this, if I had a half a brain, imagine what I could do. So basically, you're living proof that with a half a brain, you can do a lot.
Oh, yeah. But you know what? You talk about stuff like Obamacare, and, for the amount of money that we spent, they didn't add a damn thing. So, so I'm still going on my reserves that I had before. But the surgeon was kind enough to relay a kind of a little poem of his own to me. He said, when air hits your brain, you're never the same. So, you know,
Let's not
words
talk
to
about
live by.
Obama. Let's not talk about Obama too much in this show. It's supposed to be upbeat, and we didn't want to bring any profanity in. But anyway, where you want to take us next, Rebecca?
Well, I just am really excited that Tony's show is going to be being aired here shortly. I think there's a lot of opportunity for people to really have a smile on their face when Tony is going to be able to say what they wanted to say, and they're also going to learn something at the same time. This is two big pluses that I think is right up the alley of the Liberty Beacon.
It not only is, but I want to step out of what we've been discussing up to this point. We've told everybody what to expect from your show. The only thing we haven't told them, and I want you to tell everybody, Tony, is what is the name of your show?
Yes.
Well, the name of my show is going to be Spin Game, Unraveling the News. So
I love it.
Phenomenal. Now, I want to step out of the realm of this is who and what Tony is. And I want to go, I want people to get a small window into your soul, into your brain here, okay? I want you to tell us, and you won't do this alone. I'm sure Rebecca will have some input. I'm sure I'll have some input. It's kind of hard to shut me up. But I want you to tell people, first off, you're doing a show about politics or political happenings or political happenstance because you, like us, believe that we need to, and of course this is the name of my show and the mission statement of the Liberty Beacon Project, you're trying to help us eradicate programmed ignorance. Okay, so what I want you to tell people is, what do you think? And let's start with the United States of America. What do you think of the country you live in today and what you see going on around you? And it doesn't have to be detailed. I want a heartfelt answer. If it pisses you off, then tell us it pisses you off. But give not so much me, because I know I've talked to you many times and I've been just absolutely privileged to do so. But give our audience a little window into your soul. What is it that brought you to this show today for us to introduce your show?
Well, I firmly believe that we live in the greatest nation in the world. And I don't think that it's a nation that has to be changed. I don't think that we have to have illegal immigration. I don't think we have to, having immigrants come in is fine, but they're coming to the U.S. because it's the U.S. They're not coming to the U.S. because it's their country. So I want people to understand that we do have the best country in the world, that socialism isn't working in the countries where it's being practiced. And a lot of the things that go hand in hand with socialism are not programs that we want to indoctrinate into our country, because it's going to bring down what makes the U.S. the U.S. And I don't like people apologizing for what we've accomplished in this country, because we came here to start a new life for a lot of faith-based people who wanted to, I guess, have their religions, have their freedom, have their ability to not be governed by a single dictator or a king. And we've grown this country into something very, very special. And now we're starting to go backwards because of political correctness or because of a lean towards socialism. But I've got a message for everybody out there. What you're seeing in the media only represents a small portion of the United States. Us folks out here in the heartland, we know what it takes to make America great, and we're going to do our part to get it there. And Sometimes it takes a little bit of education, but that's kind of what I'm here for, I think, is to just help educate people so that they can make informed decisions, can make informed voting choices, and, you know, to realistically see the damage that's being done by some of the programs that have been implemented, and see some of the successes that we've had, because nobody's reporting on the successes that we've had here in the last 6 months. And that's one of the things that I'm going to do, is also give you not only the stuff that we need to learn, but also you know, some of the good things that are going on behind the scenes that the media refuses to talk about.
Well, I not only agree with you in every aspect of that. Today we live in a country that is no longer a representative government. If you take a look at what passes in Congress, a mass majority of the people, say, who elected Trump, who are responsible for Trump even making it to the presidency, whether you like Trump or not, that's the reason he's there, is because Heartland America decided they wanted something different. Okay, if you take a look at 80% of the bills passed in Congress, they're not popular with the majority of the Heartland. If you take a look at a lot of the executive orders passed by past presidents, especially recently passed presidents, you find out that they are unconstitutional and very unpopular. When you stop being a representative government, you stop being America. So what we need to do is not change what makes America America, because what makes America America, we're good at. What we need to do is get our leadership, who are in fact only our servants, you and Rebecca and myself, we are the sovereigns in this nation. The nation runs on our word, and they are there to serve us. So when 80% of the laws that get passed go against the grain of the sovereigns, then you're right. We're sliding backwards. So what we need to do is eradicate that programming, that ignorance that's installed in so much of America today, where so many Americans believe this is the way it has to be. This is the way it's supposed to be. One more point, and then I want to bring Rebecca in on this because I know she has something to say. If you stop to consider that our rights and freedoms in this country, the Bill of Rights, these are inalienable rights granted to us by our Creator, not our government, not a despot, not Congress, not even the Supreme Court, never ever a president. They are granted to us by God or our Creator, however you wish to represent him in your mind, or her in your mind. Yes, I did say her. So if you stop to consider that, but yet you go to Common Core today, and I actually have several articles I've written about second and third grade children bringing their homework home, and mama sitting down or daddy sitting down to help them with their homework, where it states that your rights are privileges granted by a benevolent and benign government. Are you freaking kidding me? That, my friend, is programmed ignorance, because that is a lie. But that is what our children are being taught. Hitler said, "Give me the textbooks, and in one generation, I will control this nation." This is what you're seeing. So you hit the nail right on the head as usual, Tony. Thank you. Rebecca, what do you think of what Tony said?
I'm just really looking forward to hearing the things that we can learn from him. He's got a lot of in-depth knowledge on the subject, and I also am just proud to be an American. I love our country, and I think that it's pretty amazing that people want to come here to escape what they have to face in their own countries.
You have to consider we have always been a nation of immigrants. It was immigration that made the United States of America. It was give us your huddled masses. It was people streaming in from all across the planet that built this country. So again,
Yes.
you come out and you say something that's absolutely phenomenal. We don't want to stop immigration. We want legal immigration. We don't want to stop immigration. We want people coming here because of what America represents and their wish to be a part of what America represents. If you come to this nation and you spend 20 years here and you haven't learned to speak English and you haven't gotten a job and the American people are supporting you, and I could go on and on and on, you failed to assimilate into this country. The immigrants that built this country came, they assimilated, they built a community. If you come in and you wish to stand apart and you don't wish to be a part of the community, you're not helping America. What you're doing is dividing America. So again, Tony, another good point. Now, I've put out a lot of crap here, and it's not crap, it's all actually true. But how does this sit with you, my friend?
The immigration issue?
All of the things I've said, the rights, the way they're teaching our children, the programmed ignorance, the immigration. Have I hit the nail on the head?
You have,
I
absolutely.
need to go to school.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And once again, that's where, you know, each show is going to take a piece of that and explain it to people and say, look, here's why, you know, let's take immigration, for example. The average illegal immigrant that comes in here receives over $580,000 more dollars in their lifetime than they pay into the system. Now, I don't care whether you're running a business or running a country. It's obvious that that's the way to bankruptcy if you keep adding to the welfare state without adding to the productivity and the revenue base. So, and those are little things, you know, am I a cold, callous guy? No, I mean, I know a lot of immigrants, but it has to be done intelligently. We can't just open the floodgates for a number of reasons. I mean, you've got diseases, you've got terrorism, you've got American workers that are displaced. You've got a lot of people who come here that have no intention of assimilating. And the people who came here in the early 1900s came here with the intention of assimilating. And they brought skills with them and they contributed to the society. They didn't come here to, you know, and obviously we didn't have the welfare state set up yet, but they didn't come here. They came here to contribute. They didn't come here to suck off the system. And so these are things that we need some foreign workers, but we need to be intelligent about which ones we bring in and how we bring them in. And so that's some of the things that I'm going to talk about is, you know, some of the negative side, some of the positive side. But at the end of the day, you'll walk away saying, you know, that makes sense. I understand what he's saying. And, you know, he's not, you know, these Republicans aren't cold-hearted bastards. They're, you know, they actually have a method to their madness. So that's what I'm going to try to get across to people is, hey, we're not the heartless people you think we are. We just have a reason for doing things the way we do them.
I like the madness comment because, yeah, there have been many people who have said that I'm foaming at the mouth mad, but not necessarily true. If I'm mad, meaning crazy, then you should be able to tear apart what I say. And when you can't do that, that's when your eyes start to open up. And that's why I don't challenge people to prove me wrong. I dare them to, because for the arrogant out there, they're going to step up their game and do a little bit more research just to prove the crazy old frothing at the mouth man wrong. And when they can't do it, damn it, we've got a convert. We've got somebody at least who stops thinking the way he's been thinking. And whether he starts to think the right way or not, at least we've made some progress. Okay, look, we pretty much run the gambit on this show, and I want to wrap it up here. The first thing I want to do is I want you to take about a minute or two and tell people what you expect from your show. Expound on it just a little bit more. Then we'll go to Rebecca, give her a wrap up. And of course, I always get the last word. I like that because it's my show.
Well, Spin Game is going to be about basically creating political warriors. It's not enough for us to understand this. People need to be able to articulate this to other people. It's great that you know a little bit about certain subjects, but when you know enough that you can go out and hold up your side of the argument and win in these debates against, some of the liberal arguments, that's what I'm trying to create. I'm trying to create the warriors here. I want people to come off of my show and say, okay, I'm comfortable now. I've got the information that I can go and be in a discussion, be in a debate and win. Regardless of what they throw at me, I'm going to have the information to articulate the point and have it make sense and have the facts. And, that's really what it's all about. Because once again, I've always said, if people are informed, if we all had the facts, people's hearts are in the right places, with the exception of maybe 15% of the country who will never change. They will never be changed. But the rest of us, the other 85%, if we all had the same information and it was accurate, I think the bulk of us would come to the same conclusion about how to correct these issues. And that's all I'm trying to do, is just inform people so that they can make the right decisions to get this country headed in the right place.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty damn good. Rebecca, any closing thoughts on Tony and his new show?
I think that this is going to be very informative, and I'm really excited to hear the things that you have to share. I think you have a lot of common sense, Tony, and to apply that with a sense of humor, I am just really anxious to hear what you've got to say.
Thank you.
Well, so am I. And these are my closing thoughts. First off, because I've been seriously remiss, and I apologize, Rebecca, I always tell everybody at the beginning of the show that the show couldn't happen the way it happens without my phenomenal co-host, Rebecca Mahan, who also has her own show called Rebecca Sounds Reveille, and it's something everybody should take a look at. I tell you, it's a phenomenal show. Rebecca is a great host. Tony, I want to thank you so much for being here. I've never had a bad conversation with you. I've never had a boring conversation with you. I've never had a conversation with you that left a foul taste in my mouth. And every conversation I've had with you, I've always wished that it hadn't been so short. So if you can take all that and you can put it together and shake it up and throw it out on the table, then you're a winner. And I also am very, very excited to see your show premiere, which will be very soon, over the next 10 days to 2 weeks at the most, but we will let everybody know when that's going to happen. I'm sure Rebecca will. Again, her province, she is the media director, and we will let everybody know, and then we'll splash you across the screen, and we will splash you across the websites and social media, and I think it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. So for everybody watching, this has been Eradicating Programmed Ignorance, brought to you by the Liberty Beacon Project and broadcast on TLBTV. We appreciate each and every one of you. We wouldn't have a show if you wouldn't be watching. Thank you all and have a great night.
Thank you.